They said love would bind them, but power had other plans. Secrets buried for decades, lies polished like diamonds, and a family whose name must be protected at all costs. She walked into a wedding, unaware that the aisle was a battlefield, and the vows, a trap. This is not just a story of love, it's a story of survival. Every smile hides a blade, every whisper carries a price, and every family secret has a witness. Welcome to the dynasty. Welcome to the game. The chandeliers glittered like 1,000 captive stars, suspended above a ballroom dressed in silk and roses. Every detail dazzled, golden tableware polished to a mirror's shine, champagne towers glowing under spotlights, laughter rippling like rehearsed music. But tonight wasn't just a celebration. It was a coronation, the crowning of an empire. At the center, Isabella Carter stood beneath a canopy of white roses. Pearls and crystals shimmered across her gown. Her smile drew thunderous applause. Beside her, Alexander Vaughn, tall, handsome, composed, the perfect image of a groom. The ring slid onto her finger. The diamond caught the light. Gasps of admiration swept the room. To the world, Isabella looked like the woman who had everything. But behind the glamour lingered something colder. Her father's grip on her shoulder earlier, too firm. Her mother's silence in the car, too heavy. And Alexander's father's eyes, not like family, but like an investor. Finally, the Carters and Vaughns unite. 2 dynasties, 1 legacy. This isn't a marriage, it's a merger. At the head table, the fathers leaned close, voices low, hidden beneath the orchestra. Only fragments escaped. This union buries the past and secures the future. Nothing else matters. Their hands clasped, not like friends, but like men sealing a deal. Fireworks erupted outside, red, gold, silver. The crowd cheered, voices swelling like thunder. But beneath the oak tree, Isabella's mother stood silent, lips unmoving, eyes hollow, fixed on her daughter. And Isabella felt it, the kind of silence that cuts deeper than any scream. Days blurred into rehearsals, interviews, fittings. Every smile staged, every step rehearsed. The seamstress whispered as she pinned Isabella's gown. "You wear it beautifully, my dear, but do you feel it?" The words were soft, but they sank like stone. Across town, Alexander rehearsed his vows before a mirror. Perfect words, perfect tone. His father entered, correcting cufflinks, correcting even his son's heart. "Remember, you don't just speak for yourself, you speak for us all. This marriage isn't about her, it's about the Vaughn name." When his father left, Alexander stared at his own reflection. The vows memorized, the smile rehearsed, and the stranger staring back at him. The wedding day arrived. The cathedral bathed in golden light, roses spilling over marble columns, hundreds of guests glittering like ornaments, incense drifting through the air, disguising the stench of old secrets. The doors opened. Isabella stepped inside. Every camera flashed, every eye locked on her, not like a bride, but like a prize. Alexander stood waiting, the perfect smile, the perfect groom. But when his eyes flicked toward his father, the smile faltered. The vows began. Alexander's words echoed beautifully. Guests sighed. Some wept. But to Isabella, the words felt cold, polished, perfect, empty. Her vows followed, steady, flawless, applause swelling to the rafters. But then, her father moved. A black folder slid open, a paper placed on the altar. Alexander's father leaned in, pen scratching, ink sealing, a nod exchanged. The paper folded, tucked away, gone. No one else noticed, not the priest, not the guests, not the choir. But Isabella did, and the hand she held in hers was ice cold. The priest raised his hands. I now pronounce you husband and wife. Thunder roared, the choir soared, petals rained from the rafters. The priest declared, now you may kiss the bride. Alexander leaned in. Their lips touched, cameras flashed, the perfect kiss. But Isabella's eyes stayed open, locked on her father's folder, the scratch of the pen echoing in her mind. Her smile for the cameras, flawless. But beneath it, she knew the truth. This wasn't love. This was legacy. And her life had been bound by more than vows. It had been bound by ink. They said it was the wedding of the century. They thought the wedding ended with a kiss, but behind closed doors, the real marriage had already begun, between secrets, power, and a bargain no one dared to speak aloud. The cathedral draped in white roses, the aisle glowing beneath a gloss ceiling, the music rising like an anthem. Isabella walked slowly. Her veil floated like mist. Every step echoed, not only through the hall, but through her chest. Whispers overlapping. She's radiant. She's perfect. But beneath the music, another whisper lingered. This union will decide the future of the family empire. She smiled. She had to. But the smile wasn't hers anymore. It belonged to her father, her mother, and the reputation of their name. Alexander stood waiting at the altar, elegant, flawless. But his eyes did not soften at her approach. His gaze rehearsed, his jaw clenched. To the world, he was the perfect husband. But inside that stillness flickered something cruel. A wolf trained to play prince. He didn't reach for her hand when she arrived. He simply let her stand beside him, like property delivered. The priest began. Holy words, heavy vows, but every syllable bent under weight heavier than love. Do you, Alexander, take Isabella? Alexander hesitated, longer than he should. His lips curled, just slightly. Only Isabella saw it. This is not love. This is power. And power, once taken, is never shared. She repeated her vows. Her voice shook. Not with love, with the terror of knowing there was no escape. The rings were exchanged. Alexander slipped the band onto her finger, but instead of affection, he leaned close. Smile wider. They're watching. Or do you want them to know the truth? Her eyes widened. She forced her smile brighter, dazzling, terrifying. The guests erupted in joy, mistaking her fear for happiness. Then came the signing. The marriage certificate placed before them, but beneath it, another paper, another contract. Her father's signature already etched at the bottom. Her hand shook as she reached for the pen. Alexander pressed it into her palm, his grip firm, almost bruising. When the ink touched the page, Isabella realized this wasn't just her wedding. It was a merger. She wasn't his bride. She was his guarantee. And then something broke the perfect performance. A guest in the far corner. He didn't clap, didn't rise. A man in a black suit, half his face hidden in shadow. His eyes locked on Isabella, piercing, deliberate. For a moment, she felt seen. For a moment, she felt a truth no one else dared to show. And then, he was gone. The reception unfolded. The hall transformed into a banquet of power. Champagne flowed, laughter echoed, cameras flashed. But every toast, every dance was calculated. Isabella sat beside Alexander, her face aching from smiles. You belong to me now. Not because I love you, but because love was never part of the deal. She froze. He raised his glass, smiling at the crowd. Across the table, her father watched, not with pride, but with cold satisfaction. She realized then he hadn't given her away. He had traded her, and Alexander knew it. The cruelty wasn't in the marriage. The cruelty was in the silence of those who let it happen. Midnight struck. The orchestra began a haunting string. The newlyweds stepped into their first dance. Alexander held her tightly, too tightly, his smirk brushing her ear. Congratulations, Isabella. Tonight isn't the beginning of your fairy tale. It's the end of your freedom. Her pulse thundered, the hall spun. The crowd applauded, the dance continued, and then she saw him again. The shattered man, watching, not clapping. His lips moved. 2 words, only for her. Don't trust. The lights flickered. Darkness. Gasps filled the hall. When the chandeliers flared back to life, Isabella's glass was gone. Her lips felt strange. Someone had poisoned the bride's drink. But before it touched her lips, Alexander's father moved, calm, deliberate, rehearsed, as though he had done this before. The switch was seamless. To the guests, nothing happened. To Isabella, everything had. She had been seconds away from death, and saved not by love, but by the cold instinct of a man protecting his family's name. The chandeliers still glistened above her, but Isabella felt no warmth in the light. The engagement week was supposed to be her fairy tale. Instead, it had become a performance where every guest spoke lines rehearsed for years. In the grand ballroom of the Lacroix estate, whispers swirled like perfume, white flowers, diamond smiles, steps measured to perfection. But behind every gesture, Isabella sensed a mask, and behind every mask, a blade. The first crack. It began with a folder, left half open in the study when she slipped away from the hall. A page slid out, a company name she didn't know, marked and read, and beneath it, a date she did know. The day of a factory collapse. 50 lives buried. No arrests. Case forgotten. The folder snapped shut. Helena Lacroix stood in the doorway, her lips pressed into a smile too tight. Curiosity is a dangerous indulgence for a bride. Her cold blue eyes lingered long enough, too long. Then she plucked the folder, walked away, as if nothing had happened. Isabella stood frozen. Her pulse roared. She knew then, the LaCroix family carried more than wealth. They carried blood. The devil in disguise. That night, Isabella tried to convince herself she imagined it. Until the bridesmaid appeared, Sophia, dressed in pale satin, hair in curls, a smile too sweet, but her words cut like glass. "You saw something, didn't you?" Isabella froze. "What are you talking about?" Sophia tilted her head. Her voice dipped sweet, almost childlike. "The LaCroix family is very good at burying things. Files, people, questions. Best not to dig too deep." Her laughter rang, but it wasn't laughter. It was a warning. And as she drifted into the crowd, Isabella saw it. A faint red stain at the edge of Sophia's sleeve. Lipstick, perhaps. Or blood. The question of love. That night, Isabella found Alexander on the balcony. "Do you trust me?" she asked, almost trembling. "Of course," he said, brushing her hair back, his smile devastating, rehearsed. "Then tell me, your family, were they involved in that factory collapse?" The quiet between them roared louder than any confession. His eyes hardened, his grip on her hand tightened. Then, a kiss on her forehead. "Some things are better left in the past, for both of us." And he left her standing in the cold, alone. 2 nights later, the engagement dinner. Crystal glasses, polished marble, a table long enough to seat power itself. Every camera ready, every journalist waiting. Isabella sat at the head, smile frozen, heart racing. Across the table, Sophia watched her. The devil in white, waiting for the first crack to widen. And in the far corner of the room, the shadowed man from that night appeared. Half his face hidden in darkness, his eyes locked on Isabella, watching, silent, unblinking. The toasts began. Legacy, empire, strength. Helena spoke like a queen, Alexander like a prince. Applause thundered. Then a voice that did not belong. Daniel. Her brother stood, shirt untucked, tie loose. His glass raised. "To my sister. To the perfect bride. Marrying into the perfect family." Then he turned. His voice dropped. "Tell me, Alexander, do you know? She doesn't even love you." The room froze. Glasses stilled. Flashes stopped. Alexander's hand clenched around hers under the table, his grip iron, his smile gone. Helena's eyes sharp as blades. And in the shadows, the man was still watching, not moving, not clapping, just observing, a warning. And in the far corner of her mind, Isabella felt it. A thread of hope or danger. She couldn't tell. Daniel's glass slipped, shattered. The white tablecloth bloomed red. And Isabella realized something cruel. The devil in white wasn't Sophia. It wasn't Helena. It wasn't even Alexander. It was her own reflection, a bride bound to secrets she could no longer escape. And the shadowed man remained, watching, waiting. The scandal of the engagement dinner had not died. Daniel's drunken cry, "She doesn't even love him," lingered like smoke, thick, choking, impossible to escape. Guests sipped champagne too quickly, laughed too loudly. Every word, camouflage. The bride sat stiff, her veil cascading like a prison of lace. Hundreds of eyes upon her. Not one saw her as she was.
They saw a symbol, a bridge between dynasties, a pawn dressed in roses and contracts. The veil was no fabric anymore. It was silence. It was suffocation. It was the trap of her own name. Private confrontation. She found him later, the groom, alone in the marble corridor, bow tie loose, eyes unreadable. "Tell me, did you choose me, or did your father?" He did not answer. His silence, crueler than any lie. He looked at her as one might look at a ledger, calculating, detached, weighted with inheritance. "Say something," she demanded, but his silence was deliberate, his gaze a cage. Finally, he spoke. "This is bigger than you and me." Her heart plummeted. It wasn't love. It wasn't even choice. It was a machine, swallowing them both. The shadow meeting. Later that night, she saw movement near the courtyard. A figure slipped into the shadows, familiar yet threatening. She followed, careful. Lanterns flickered in the breeze. There, under vines twisting against the wall, another woman waited. "You shouldn't have brought her this far. She'll never forgive you." "I had no choice. You know that." The woman touched his hand, brief, too familiar. The bride froze, stomach twisting. Mistress? Past lover? Or something worse?
"Don't come back to me, because when you do, you'll destroy everything." She staggered back before they could see her. Her vision blurred. The veil tightened like a noose. His eyes fixed on her, watching, waiting. The mother's cruel revelation. On the balcony, her mother found her. City lights stretched before them, glittering promises ready to shatter. "You're pale," her mother said, brushing invisible dust from her shoulder. Affection too rehearsed, too careful. "Mother, did you know? About him? About this performance?" Her mother's eyes flickered, hardened. "This isn't the first time, darling." "What do you mean?" "Women in this family have always been sacrificed." For the name, for the legacy, for survival. I was. Your grandmother was. Now, it's your turn. We endure it because we must. Sacrificed? I'm not livestock. You're worse. You're an heir. Her knees weakened. She wanted to scream, to tear the veil from her head, to run, but her mother's grip tightened on her wrist. Smile, darling. That's all they need from you. The dinner aftermath. Inside, the air was different. The bridesmaid, Sophia, laughed at a corner table, her laughter sharp, eyes too knowing. She caught the bride's gaze, raised her glass in a mocking toast. She doesn't love him. She never did. This is a funeral, not a wedding. The bride's father spoke too loudly. The groom's father shook hands too firmly. Deals whispered in corners, names written on invisible contracts. Love was nowhere in the room. The shadowed man reappears briefly in a doorway, motionless, observing. His presence, silent, unseen by all, except her. A thread of warning. Behind the veil, the bride's lips trembled, but she forced a smile. Cameras flashed, each click another nail sealing her coffin. She realized then she wasn't marrying a man. She was marrying a machine, a dynasty, a curse her mother had worn, her grandmother before her. Now it was her turn. Her chest heaved beneath the veil. She could barely breathe. The veil was no longer a symbol. It was a noose. And then she heard it again. Not her brother, not her mother, not the bridesmaid. It came from within. This isn't your wedding. This is your execution. The screen freezes, her trembling lips forced into a smile, her eyes drowning behind the veil. The ballroom was empty now, the celebration over. The bride sat alone in her chamber, veil discarded, her gaze locked on the mirror. A stranger stared back, a puppet draped in diamonds. Is this truly my life now, or am I just a sacrifice wearing lace? Her fingers traced the delicate lace of her discarded veil, every thread a reminder of chains she had never consented to. The silence of the room pressed in. No laughter, no music, just the tick of a gilded clock counting down a future already decided. Then, a knock. Polite, deliberate. The sound echoed off marble walls. The grandmother entered. Cane polished, steps measured. Eyes cold, sharp as winter frost. The door closed behind her with a soft click. You think you are the first child. You are not. Decades ago, I too was given away to protect this family. Love was a luxury we could not afford.
The bride's breath caught. Her grandmother's marriage, a story she had always imagined as tender, suddenly cracked. Grandmother, your groom's father was once promised to another. A scandal ruined everything. And now, this union is our redemption. You will not escape this cycle. Do you hear me? The bride's hands trembled. The truth pressed heavier than any veil she had worn. Her marriage wasn't just arranged, It was a transaction to erase a humiliation carved decades ago. 1970s, a secret love affair. A young man in uniform steals a kiss from a woman not his betrothed. Candlelight flickers across her face, eyes wide, forbidden, fear and longing entwined. A child is born in silence, tiny fingers curling, wrapped in a shawl, hidden beneath shadows. Scandal erupts, letters burned, threats whispered in halls of power, bribes exchanged, lives quietly ruined. The family reputation fractured. Whispers became law. Secrets became inheritance. Fast forward, decades of hushed voices, hidden documents, alliances built on lies, all waiting for the perfect moment, until now. Back in the present, the bride's fiancé enters the chamber, face unreadable, eyes colder than marble walls. Every step measured, every movement precise. Bride, tell me the truth. Did you choose me, or was I chosen for you? The silence stretches, thick, crushing. He doesn't answer. He steps closer, brushes her cheek, lingering touch. The warmth is a lie. The touch is a threat. Groom, this marriage is not about you. Don't forget that. Her heart shatters. Words slice through her like shards of glass. Her eyes search his for something human. Nothing. Just cold precision.